Welcome to Healing Our Relationships, the podcast. I'm Marisa, healer, transformation guide, and someone who has spent the last 17 years coming home to herself. This podcast was born from a powerful circle I lead each month, where women gather live on Zoom to unearth their codependent patterns, reclaim their truth, and return home to themselves. Here, I bring these same teachings and transmissions to you. Each episode, I'll help you understand what codependency actually is, not in a clinical or shame-based way, but through the lens of spiritual healing and personal empowerment. We'll explore the real impact these patterns have on your nervous system, your relationships, your sense of self, and your spirit. I'll offer grounded tools, guided inquiries, perception shifts, and an invitation to heal in community, not just alone. This is a space for deep truth-telling, for remembering who you are beneath the stories and the shape-shifting, and for walking each other home. You don't have to do this perfectly. You just have to begin. So let's get started. So most people think of codependency as the clinging, the fixing, the people-pleasing. But there is another side to it, one that often goes unnoticed. And this can be harmful and painful because the solution to healing codependent patterns is the same, regardless of what side of the coin you're on. And so I have had listeners listen and they love a lot of pieces, but they don't really relate to the anxious attachment style. So today we're going to talk about the pattern of distancing oneself to feel safe. And this can also be called an avoidant pattern. If you've heard of the term love-avoidance, which you probably have, especially on social media, it's like a buzzword next to anxious attachment. This episode could be really great for you too if you are anxiously attached and you have a love-avoidant partner. It might help you understand how they are trying to protect themselves through their own codependent patterns. So this pattern of distancing to feel safe, this might look like building a wall super high so no one can climb it. Ending relationships the moment it gets too real, when the chase is over and that dopamine hit is gone and you're not in a honeymoon phase anymore and things start to get really real and people start to have an opportunity to really get to know you and it becomes scary. That level of intimacy, fear of being rejected for who you are, all these different things pop up. It can look like keeping people at arm's length with busyness, or I'm just not ready, having like a lot of really good excuses to not be in a committed relationship or to not have the time and energy to really show up fully inside a relationship. It could be playing hot or cold, so you're not ever fully available. And it could be wanting someone to chase you instead of saying what you need. And I also want to reiterate the whole walling off thing just to make sure you really understand what this looks like. If you do not trust people, if you are very hesitant, if you find yourself going quiet, going cold, you get more reserved around new people in your life, doesn't just have to be romantic relationships. This is building a wall as well. And people have to really prove their trust and they really have to kind of go over and beyond to get to you. You're hesitant of them. So this can often feel like independence for people. Like, I'm good on my own, I don't need anybody. But it's not. It is codependency. It is still shaping your behavior around fear of how someone else will act, think, feel, whether or not they will accept you, love you, or abandon you, leave you. So you are still managing connection to avoid pain. And like we always talk about, many of these patterns start in childhood. So if you've experienced abandonment, true abandonment as a child, whether that was physical or emotional or inconsistent love, the pain of whoever was raising you, especially if it was your mother or father, not being there, not being support, not being a safe person for you. Your nervous system learned to protect you from being hurt by walling off, by becoming reliant on yourself, by not trusting that anyone else really might be there to take care of you. This could also look like hiding your feelings, staying 2 steps ahead, anticipating, and kind of leaving before you could be left. And again, that doesn't always just mean physical. That could be in your emotional relationships as well. You can also become more avoidant and walled off if you've been betrayed. If you have opened your heart, if you've been honest about something and you had that vulnerability used against you. You could also experience this if you were criticized and controlled and it was disguised as love from a caretaker. So where being close to someone meant being judged, meant being punished. I think we can see this play out a lot of times when kids act out to get their parents' attention because it is attention. It's like, oh, they finally care about me. And this can play out inside of relationships with partners and even with friends. So if this is the early blueprint for you, and this can also, these blueprints all look kind of the same, right? So it's never exclusive. It's not like an exclusive club of anxious attached versus people that are more detached and avoidant. But in this early blueprint, your system learns, if I don't get too close, I can't be hurt. And while it might have worked in childhood and adulthood, that strategy becomes a cage. Like you feel like you're being protected from rejection, but you're also being blocked from connection. And you're also shape-shifting and manipulating. And most likely the person that you're with is also really hurting every time you wall off to protect yourself. And that is really what emotional unavailability is. And it is what a lot of women experience with the masculine, especially because women are innately more emotional. And let's just say this isn't even about born gender, but just society of origin and how we were raised, and that we're expected to be more emotional and available and caretaker, where men were expected to be more strong and don't share your emotions and your feelings. So we see it a lot in the masculine, this emotional unavailability. Now, that's not to say that we don't see it in all genders and we don't see it in all people, because we do. But I do know that I have a lot of women that come to me that are more on the anxious attached side, and they end up with somebody who's emotionally unavailable. And what can be painful about being with emotionally unavailable partners is you share just enough to keep the relationship going, but that deeper truth is not there. And so the partner who's really seeking the deeper truth is constantly chasing these small moments where they feel like they're really having access to you. But inside of deeper connections, inside of deeper conversations, somebody who's emotionally unavailable might turn them quick with humor or change the subject or get upset at the other person. Like if you've ever heard or said, why do you have to be so serious all the time? Why do we have to talk about our relationship all the time? It's like there's this level of depth that is really uncomfortable to go because it's just too painful. It's too intimate. It requires too much trust. And so avoidant people can sabotage intimacy. They can pick fights when things are going well, or they can have all these micro resentments over tiny things that really don't matter. They might also test people. So you might find yourself testing people, withholding love, withholding affection, like doing all these little shape-shifting maneuvers to see if somebody really loves you or if they'll really fight for you. And you might also not say what you need and just expect somebody else to know what you need and then resent people for not knowing. So this whole mind reading dynamic can happen in relationships too. And what's really hard about the love avoidant and about being in a detached pattern is that person, most likely, more often than not, you really want love and you really want connection. It's just so scary. And remember how a lot of these patterns are autopilot. You're not really thinking ahead of time. You're not trying to harm the person that you're with. They just happen automatically. And then there is this core part of you that most likely believes that you are fine and you don't need anyone. Even when you're lonely, you will tell yourself the story that I don't need anybody, and it's too scary to be vulnerable. It's way more scary to be vulnerable. It's way more scary to be intimate. It's way more scary to allow someone to fully see me for who I am. So I would rather be alone. I'd rather lose this relationship. It is a very real fear, and we don't want to dismiss that. And it can also look like just hot and cold. So again, it's managing other people's access to you, really as a way to control whether or not you get hurt. And codependency isn't just about losing yourself in someone else. It's about altering yourself in reaction to someone else. So whether you cling or retreat, you're still centering your choices around another person. You're still centering your choices around avoiding rejection, judgment, or abandonment. So it's really control in disguise, especially if you're like, well, I'm not doing anything. I'm just sitting here. Like, you're the one getting all worked up. Your avoidance is still a way to control. You not saying anything, you not reacting, you not coming forward is still a way that you can be controlling the other person's experience with you. And what happens is that it doesn't just keep the pain out, it keeps the love out. And most people, I think, especially since I work with a lot of women who have opposite dynamic partners, is that what I believe to be true are the people in their lives actually really do love them and really do care about them. They're just hurting. I mean, it's so clear and so obvious when you really start diving into codependency work. You start to learn about all facets of codependency, and then somebody really realizes, wow, like my partner is really hurting. Some of the beliefs that avoidant people might have about themselves, one big one is I'm broken. There is a sense of feeling broken, of really maybe caring about the people in their lives, but not being able to show it, or people constantly harping on them for not being available or not being soft enough. And it can really cause this belief that something is wrong. And when any person goes into a place of guilt or shame, it's hard to feel connected if you do feel guilt and if you do feel shame. It's hard to feel connected when you yourself are scared. It's hard to feel connected when you want something, but it just feels out of reach. So instead of carrying the story that you're broken or you're bad at relationships or I can't trust anyone, because that's a really big one. I don't trust people. I don't trust people. You kind of have to prove to me that I can trust you. And then while absolutely we all deserve to live in a way where people are, I don't know if the word's proving trust, but showing that they can be trusted, when we automatically come forward in a relationship and go, all right, my guard's up, my gloves are on, you have to prove to me. That can be really exhausting for the other person. And actually, a lot of people might not even step into the ring. They might just feel your wall and be like, okay, well, that doesn't feel comfortable, or they might feel rejected. So if you can think about this as a strategy, I learned to stay safe by keeping people out, then the invitation for you is to be in a place of compassionate awareness around where that shows up in your life and see if you can catch the impulse to withdraw. And really noticing in those moments, is this about them? Is there something off here? Is there something I'm like, this doesn't feel right? Or is this about my own fear? Am I on an autopilot, or am I consciously tuned in with my heart, with my nervous system? Can I tell, oh, wow, I might be really afraid because I like this person? Now, remember, not asking you to change all your behavior in one day. This is always first step awareness. First step awareness. So catch the impulse and then asking, is this about them or is this about me? And this is how you're going to learn to trust yourself, because this all goes back living in authenticity and feeling safe. And this all comes back to self-trust. All comes back to self-trust. So second piece is telling the truth. Telling the truth about what you do want, even if it feels risky. Sharing a feeling even if you're afraid of the vulnerability. Sharing your truth, and this happens with people who've been betrayed, if you're afraid it's going to be used against you in some way, this tiny change, being in awareness, is just noticing, where am I telling the truth and where am I suppressing and repressing my feelings, my emotions, my desires? Where am I holding myself back? And you just notice if this is a pattern and how often it happens and how it affects your relationships. And then also notice how you test people and if you have tests. Notice if you're always hoping people are going to prove their care without you saying you need it. Or maybe they do prove their care, but you ignore it because you want it to look a different way. And one of the things, I think I've said this before in a relationship, is when you're starting to unlearn and you're starting to practice contrary action, you can choose relationships that feel the safest to do that. And sometimes it is not the relationship to your partner, especially if you're here and your relationships are uncomfortable, they feel like they're not working, or there's pain, you're on the verge of breakup. Like, your partner is probably who needs this practice the most, but it doesn't feel as safe. So choose a relationship in your life where it feels mostly safe. Or maybe you have a friendship in your life where you notice this behavior and you're close enough, which this would be kind of hard for somebody who's afraid to be vulnerable, but you might be close enough to say, hey, like, I really want to work on this and I want to practice it. Or can you let me know when you feel like I'm walling off? Or can you let me know like a moment where maybe you're trying to go deeper with me and I'm deflecting? And just let yourself open this really small door for yourself. Share something honest, accept help, express a feeling, allow yourself to be seen. And then another piece that I want to tack on to this is the core belief that I am not worthy of love. Because this core belief really goes to the heart of avoidance. And unfortunately for a lot of people, it was easy for them to evidence gather in their life that they weren't worthy of love because there were people surrounding them that were not loving. And I can't tell you how many clients come to me truly believing that they are unworthy, truly believing that they're not worthwhile or that they're not special, especially if they don't fit the dream of the planet or society's mold. And if they've their whole life kept themselves small or hidden or the wallflower because they didn't look like everyone else that was getting the attention, or they weren't being praised for their choices or their achievements or whatever it was, that they just kept themselves really small in this belief of not being worthy. And this is not surface level, I'm fine, I don't need anybody. This is a deep protective belief that hides beneath these love-avoidant patterns. It might be, if I let someone close, they're going to see the truth. And the truth is I am not enough to be loved as I am. And I'm not worthy. And so why bother? But then there's this other part of you that aches to be worthy and aches to be loved. So you show up, you say yes to the relationship, you move in, you get married, you do the things. But then this bigger part of you is hiding behind the wall. And all of this can also come back to this concept of conditional love, essentially. And as humans that are healing themselves in relationships, we have to start being really mindful of where we're being conditionally loving, where we're saying yes to partners and yes to relationships and then being miserable inside them because they want them to be different. They want that person to be different and not really accepting who people are, wanting them to fill that hole that their father or mother or God or whoever couldn't fill in their lives. Love shouldn't be conditional. We can deeply love someone and want more. We can deeply love someone and have boundaries. For an avoidant person, you can deeply love someone and reject them. And maybe they will keep chasing you, but the cat and mouse game is not fulfilling. And these are important notes for those who are finding themselves with love-avoidant partners, partners who can't or won't commit, partners who push away when love is offered so you chase and you jump in more. These patterns really cost both parties. For the detached and walled off, you're keeping yourself out of your own life. You're not fully present for what and who is available to you. And you're not getting the depth of connection that you crave deep down. And you're most likely also in a state of hypervigilance, scanning for danger, just like your partner who might be chasing you. And if you have to keep forcing someone to prove that they love you over and over again, it's going to get pretty exhausting for the other person. And you will essentially create a self-fulfilling prophecy of abandonment. Because if you're constantly testing over and over and over, then there's a good chance that partner might do their own inner work and might feel like enough is enough. I can't be with someone who won't let me in, and leave. So going back to healing, I'm not worthy of love. When you feel the urge to pull away, see if you can stay just one breath longer. Can you be more available for conversation? Be a little bit vulnerable. Can you change the story around being worthy of love? And I don't really like affirmations and fake it till you make it, but from a place of compassionate curiosity, what about you is worthy of love? Because there are things there. If you were to make a list of all the lovable things about you, there are things that are lovable about you. And you do know that because you can see it reflected in other people. You can say, gosh, my partner loves when I make them laugh. Like, start to think about the things in your life that you do that other people really appreciate and love. Think about the people in your life that appreciate your presence. And if you don't have people in your life, I want you to ask yourself from a place of love, is it because I'm pushing everyone away? Because I'm afraid to be rejected? So I'm telling myself a story that I'm okay over here on my own. And really know that you have an inner protector, your little one that began these behaviors to keep you safe. And really know that part of you exists and see if you can start to lead that part. So when you notice someone pushing you away, you pause, you take a breath, and you say, okay, is this my protector? Can I make a choice here? Do I have to react and run, or can I make a choice and take a brick off the wall? You are worthy of love. We are all worthy of love. And not conditional love based on how amazing and perfect we are and healed we are, or how we move through the world. Love is a divine right. But you've got to love yourself first. You have to believe that you're worthy first. You have to let your own walls down that you have with yourself. What are you suppressing and repressing? What pains are you not allowing yourself to feel? How can you expect yourself to even be vulnerable with someone if you're not being vulnerable with yourself? And you might need some help to do that. You might need to get into some therapy and talk about things that you don't want to talk about. Practice vulnerability with yourself. And always remember that you're not just your head, but you're also your body. And you have a nervous system that sometimes isn't supporting truly the desires of your heart. And so be compassionate with yourself. Be easy. This should all be from a place of exploration. No pattern is better than the other. No person who's, I'm available for love, is greater than the person that's like, get away from me. You're freaking me out. There's no right, there's no wrong, there's no good, there's no bad. We're all coming together into this divine balance. Some people are more boundaried, some people aren't. How can we come together and teach each other? How can we meet in the middle? And it doesn't even mean meeting in the middle all the time. It's just being aware that there is a middle and inching ourselves towards that place where we can be more relational with each other. We can be more connected. We can be more accepting. We can start practicing unconditional love. We can start holding space for our partners. We can start taking responsibility for our own triggers and our own activation. And we can start doing things differently. And most of all, we're coming into a place of love and reverence for ourselves because we're healing ourselves. We're healing that protector. We're healing our inner children. And we're teaching them that it's safe to be loved. Well, I love you, and I always tell you that because I really do have a lot of love in my heart for you, and everyone deserves to be told that they're loved at least once a week. And I'm proud of you for being here, and like always, I'll see you on the other side. Thank you for being here with me. If something in this episode landed, if it stirred something in your heart or helped you feel less alone, please give me a rate and review and share with a friend. You can always learn more about me and what I offer at healwithalchemy.com. And if you're longing for community, for live connection and real conversation, I host a free Healing Our Relationships circle on the last Thursday of the month on Zoom. You can join us by downloading my app, HealSpace. It's free, and the circle lives right there in the app, along with my meditations, offerings, and a space to be seen. If you're ready to go deeper, I'll be guiding Awakening Woman, my next in-person retreat in Sedona this November. A weekend of breathwork, healing, ritual, sisterhood. It's a powerful space for transformation, and there are a few spots left. My next Mystery School cohort opens this October. It's a sacred container for women walking a spiritual path. We work with archetypes, shadow, and the divine feminine, and it's a full journey around the sun. 12 months, 6 women. You'll find all the details for retreat, mystery school, and so much more at healwithalchemy.com. Come find the space that speaks to you in your season. I'm so grateful to be here with you, and I'll see you soon.